on love. Come, let us gather in peace. This is a sacred space. We join our hearts here in one loving family. This is a house built on love. We come together as people of prayer. This is a house built on love.
And please be seated as we begin our service with an opening prayer. Drop down into your heart space. Sometimes I put my hand right here to center me and take a nice, quiet breath and know that we are in the presence of divine power, of divine being. Whatever you call that power and presence, whether it's any form of God, or whether you call it just the natural sound of a stream or the breeze, know that that power and that energy is within you and all around you at all times. You may have come in here carrying a lot from your own life, and we all do. And know that in this moment and in this place, you are supremely loved. You are the light of the world. You are a divine being, and you are loved. And let's take some of that love and spread it around the community, in your families and friends. If there's anyone that you're holding in your heart that you wish you could do more for, you may want to say that person's name out loud or whisper it to yourself and know that the divine presence is active in their life just as it is within you right now. And take some of that love also and let it shine on down River Road, going north, going south, going east, going west, shining that brightness out into our local community, our state, and our nation that at times seems so confusing and divided, that we can hold love as unity for all of us in our country. There may be a spot on earth that you're thinking of right now. So many people, refugees, people who may be suffering. It seems to be part of earth, part of our existence in this time. But know that that healing love is within them as well. And we take all that love and spread it all around the globe. And know that no matter the appearances and no matter the normal human struggles, we are spiritual beings experiencing a human existence. And we turn it over to Spirit. We take that energy in, we breathe it out, and we know that all is well, and so it is. So again, I want to welcome Reverend Matt. He'll be speaking today. And as I was doing that prayer, I was thinking of Reverend Pat and Reverend Leroy, that they can get that kind of that deep peace and that deep rest that they deserve this week. So we are going to now go into our invocation, I believe. And if you would like to stand, you may. If you would like to sit, that is okay too. And take in these words. Our invocation is, if you'd say it together with me, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good, omnipotent. And our vision statement, centered in divine love, we celebrate a spiritually transformed world. And next is our mission statement. Unity Center for Spiritual Growth reaches in to reach out through education, service, and creation of community. And we have core values here that we live by. We are loving, we are accepting, we are authentic, we are transformative, we are soul centric, we are compassionate, and we are welcoming. And I'll turn it over to Dina for our community song.
The group song today is I'm Choosing Heaven Today, and there's the lyrics.
I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of joy right now, singing I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of love right now, singing I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today.
Great, and please be seated. Thank you, Dina. That was peppy. I like that one. So now is the time where we welcome new visitors, and I wanted to say for those of you who are online, if you are new and you're tuning in, you may put your name in the chat box if you would like to share with us. And we do have our weekly, Reverend Pat sends out a weekly email called Heart Thoughts, and she will get that out to anybody online who's watching and who would like to share their name. And this is a time where we welcome new visitors. Do we have any new visitors? I don't think we do. Anybody here for the second or third time? Oh, all right, second time? Third, awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I believe we have a gift. Do you know, Anita, if we have? All right, she's going to look. So we do have a gift. And please know that we are very happy that you've come back. Thank you. All right. So we also will greet one another today. And you can do that simply by acknowledging someone with a namaste. I would say a smile, of course, maybe under your mask. It's really hard to do, or a little wave to somebody or a nod. If you would like to sit or stand, either one is acceptable. So we will do our namaste song. Oh, we don't. Oh, that's right. Okay, I forgot. So we just want to say this. So together we say, the love in me greets the love in you, and together we may work for the glory of God. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Namaste. Good morning. Good morning. Nice. That's so hard not being able to see our facial expressions, isn't it? It's a lot we can do with our eyes, though. All right, so now we'll go over our unity principles. These are 5 basic unity principles. If you travel anywhere and go to another unity church anywhere in the world, you will see these 5 basic principles. Sometimes they're worded a little bit differently, but they always come down to these 5 principles. So our first one is that God is good and everywhere present. And that means that at all times, even when we are in the midst of crisis, that God still is in that place, giving us strength. And that God is present in all all items, all animals, all living things. Um, I have a little story to tell with this one, because I went to Catholic school when I was little, through kindergarten through sixth grade, and my mother had grown up Catholic but had left the church. My father was Episcopalian, so I went to Catholic school during the week. Absolutely loved it, but I wasn't a really good Catholic. Um, and went to the Episcopal Church on Sunday, and I wasn't a great Episcopalian, but I remember being 6 years old and one of the nuns telling me that animals did not have souls. And I remember at that moment in my head feeling incredible compassion for Sister Mary Elizabeth. I just had this incredible compassion because she could not see that animals had souls, and I knew she was wrong. I didn't say a word, but I went home and asked my parents if I could get her a cat so that she could see. And that was kind of a little turning point for me all through growing up. I loved some of the messages I got, and others I would say, oh my goodness, they're confused. The nuns and the priests are a little confused about things. So I guess I formed that in me, that God is in, through and around all beings and all things. The Spirit of God lives within each person, therefore, all people are inherently good. And that's a hard one when we have somebody we're feeling conflict with, but it's hard. For me, sometimes I picture that person as a child, but that's a struggle. Number 3, we create our life experiences through our way of thinking around to the positive, sometimes sitting and being with whatever is negative in our life and feeling it and then letting it go. That is powerful thinking as well. Number 4, there is power in affirmative prayer, which we believe increases our connection to God. I know in my busy life, finding that time to make that connection, which for me is just listening, just being still, like this beautiful window, just being still and listening and sitting with a positive affirmation. And that's where mantras, I believe, came from in ancient times, positive affirmation. And number 5, knowledge of these spiritual principles is not enough. We must live them. We must put them into action in our lives. Sometimes it's hard to do, to get up that energy and try it, but it's not enough to sit upon a cloud and just not go down to earth with all of these things. So, is there anybody who has a story from your life, a brief story? This is the sharing of the good news that may have happened in your life where you thought of one of these principles. Coming down to Mimo.
I'm going to open my mask so I can speak. Briefly, there's alcoholism, which is a disease in my family, and my 35-year-old son has been drinking. And a couple months ago, I was with him and his lady friend, and he was asleep in the middle of the day, and he came down, and I said, "Oh, hello," and hugged him. And how are you? "Oh, I've got a headache." So a minute later, I was thinking in very small letters, fever. So a while later, I said, "Do you have a fever?" He said, "No." He said, "I was drinking last night. I'm hungover." So I took a breath, and a few minutes later went up to the bathroom and closed the door and said the Serenity Prayer about 4 times and used some affirmations, which I know helped me to center, to remember that Mackenzie is not his disease. He is not his habits. And I felt, I'm getting goosebumps now, but I felt really grateful that I could shift my thinking at that time. And briefly, I do use these principles. The last time I was with him a couple of weeks ago, there were no bottles of liquor around. There were no bottles of beer. There were no big boxes of candy around, which, of course, it's all sugar. The diabetes killed my husband, it killed a brother-in-law. So it's in the family. So that my story is one of big gratitude that I could shift my thoughts and that I could see him as he really is. And I am so grateful for my time here at Unity, which has included a lot of healing on a lot of levels. And so I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Your son's name is Mackenzie. So picture him centered. We don't always understand the path somebody is on, I think, and just picture him well, and you too, and centered in light. Anyone else have something they would like to share? Reverend Aaron?
Hi. I like that idea, Mimo. I'm Aaron, and I'm a chaplain at Maine Medical Center. For those of you that might not know, and it was just really sweet. This hadn't happened before. This woman came, and this woman needed me to go see her, and she asked for prayer, and so she was really nervous because she wasn't able to have feeling in the back of her lower back, and she was really nervous about walking, and she said that there was nothing in the surgery that should have caused that, and so I and her roommate was also listening and wanted to be part of it, and so we affirmed that. I said to her, you will be walking, and when you get concerned and worried, just know that you will walk, and if that's hard, believe that I believe that you will walk again and be able to. And you can go out on a limb like that only because you know that that is true medically for them without, I'm always using unity everywhere, but just, I knew I was safe to say that, in that moment too. And what was just really the sweetest part of this was that because her roommate was kind of part of it, the way she was engaging with us. So I said, after, we did the affirmation and prayer, I said, is there anything I can, support you in? And she goes, actually, I just wanted to be in prayer and support my roommate, or she used her name. And it just really struck me. It hadn't quite been like that. And then I went to another room and on a different floor, and there were two women roommates, and again it happened. So it was just really sweet. So it's probably number 4.
Yeah. Thank you, Aaron, and thank you for all the work you're doing at Maine Medical. Yeah. Anyone else have something they'd like to share, even if it just popped into your mind? It's okay to share. We good? Oh, we got another.
I love these 5 principles because I do use them in my life. There are times that life will throw you roadblocks. There was a time in my life where I had a very serious health challenge. I had a doctor come in and say, it's all downhill from here. My wife and I looked at him and laughed because I believe you have that momentary fear that comes in. Oh, what now? But believing in God's divine love shifted the energy. And I have been remarkably healthy ever since.
You have been, Jack. Thank you for sharing that with us. Medical diagnoses are sometimes just information, and our bodies are amazing. All right. I also wanted to mention for people at home, if you had something you wanted to share in the chat box, you may do so. Or if you have a prayer request, you can do it if you're watching from home. All right, so now we are going to welcome to the platform Gloria for our daily word reading. So come on up, Gloria, for the daily word.
Thank you.
The word that we're focusing on today is guidance. I open my mind and heart to receive guidance. Sometimes I have insisted on figuring things out for myself rather than asking for anyone's help. Over the years, I've learned the value of asking for guidance and sharing what I've learned with others when others ask me. As we exchange ideas, we may tap into a higher wisdom that had not been apparent to either of us alone. This higher wisdom is not outside of myself. It is a still, small voice, mine to call upon at any time. I am always able to ask for guidance to show me the way forward. I access my inner guidance by opening my mind and heart in prayer. Then I watch, listen, remembering that divine guidance may come in a familiar way or perhaps in an unexpected way that will surprise and delight me. And from Isaiah 55, verse 9, for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
Thank you, Gloria. I always love hearing your voice. Thank you. Whoops. Get your mask here. There you go. Those things are always flying. All right. Well, I believe we now have some special music. Am I on track here?
You are indeed.
Okay. All right, someone's got it.
To open up Matt's talk this morning, this is a song by Betsy Rose, Taste and See. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit that falls from the tree. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit of the garden. Taste the sun stored in the skin, flavor of fire and of passion. Taste the stars that dwell at the core, seeds of our joy and compassion. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit that falls from the tree. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit of the garden. Taste the rain soaked through the flesh, lingering sweet on the tongue. Taste the earth, the body of life, dark and rich and strong. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit that falls from the tree. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit of the garden. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit that falls from the tree. Oh, taste, taste and see how good is the fruit of the garden.
Green light of life. Dina, thank you as always for your spot on music. I also wanted to recognize all other excellence when I say it. And Kim, you're an excellent platformer. So thank you. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to everyone here and everyone online. Glad you're here and thank you for being here. The title of our talk today was going to be The Gifts of the Spirit, as Dina will attest. But something happened on the way to that destination. What happened was I kept being drawn to the fruits of the Spirit and their ability to change our lives. So our talk today, as you would guess, is going to be around the fruits. Maybe we'll pick up the gifts another time. I'd like to open with a short poem by Juan Ramon Jimenez. Some of you may have heard this poem. It's beautiful. I am not I. I am not I. I am this one walking beside me, whom I do not see, whom at times I manage to visit, and whom at other times I forget, who remains calm and silent while I talk, and forgives gently when I hate, who walks where I am not, who remains standing when I die. So just briefly, to create a contrast, we'll talk about gifts. A gift reflects the giver. So the gifts of the Spirit reflect their giver, God. They really have nothing to do with us apart from us being a vessel, right? The gifts are given. That's why maybe you've experienced, any of you who have been involved in the church for a few years, you've observed someone working in the gifts, like the gift of healing, perhaps, and you've seen that person help you, maybe helped you, and you see them not on the platform outside of that, and it's kind of maybe dumpster fire-ish, it doesn't match what you're seeing on the platform. And the reason for that is because they're operating with a gift. It's got nothing to do with them, right? It's a gift. It reflects the giver, God. That's why it's working. Fruit, on the other hand, is where we work in our life on this earth. Fruit has a great deal to do with us, and the extent to which we operate in them is the extent to which we work to cultivate them. So you to this point, you may have heard some of that, so just bear with me here. And what are these fruits? This is from the New International Version of the Bible, Galatians 5:22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And why is there no law? Because it does not need to be, right? Laws are to keep us in the correct lane from a societal or a cultural perspective. If you're operating with and through an awareness of the fruits of the Spirit, you do not need to be correct. You do not need to be kept in the correct lane. You're already there. And that's why the scripture specifically ends with, against such there is no law. So how do we see and experience these fruits of the Spirit from a societal perspective in this world? If you were brought up in a mainline church, this is likely the Dudley Do-Right list. You're expected to respond to meet behavioral expectations. Other times, these seem like nice ideas, but not really a practical base from which to engage the world. When I was a boy attending summer Bible school, and these were taught, I wanted to believe they were real and that they could actually be a basis of how people related to each other. You remember that child place where your heart was open and these things made sense, right? They made sense. That was not my experience. As with many of us, my experience was if you actually tried to relate to your peers in this way, you were thought weak, bullied, and discounted. Not exactly the image you strive for as an adolescent. When you get older, as an adult, you experience something similar, but mostly more subtle. Not always. Society teaches that those who get ahead, they take it, or win it, or defeat someone else for it. This is reinforced again and again in the things our culture celebrates, like politics and sports. What do you see most on the news? These kind of things that celebrate competition and like a zero-sum game, right? The fruits of the Spirit are not just behavioral aspects we strive for, but active, immensely powerful teaching, healing, and transformational tools for ourselves and those around us. Apart from the Bible, a spiritual text that I particularly enjoy is A Course in Miracles. And from chapter 9, section 5, by their fruits you shall know them, and they shall know themselves. That last piece is important. Let's briefly look at the fruits of the Spirit individually in reverse order. So that means the first being self-control. The primary request of our parents when we were little, and not so little, would be this fruit. Self-control does not mean sitting on ourselves to look like we are behaving well. That may come as a surprise to some of our parents. Self-control is a natural outgrowth of tending your personal garden. If you think of when you respond to some significant external action and you have had a good day where you feel relaxed, had good things put into you, you are much more able to choose how you respond in that moment versus if you were on autopilot all day just kind of going through the motions. And you know that to be true. You have an ability to choose how you respond versus reacting, which we all do. This is the essence of self-control. In the original Greek, the word that I cannot pronounce, it's two words meaning in and strength. And doesn't that feel accurate? So think of the fruit of self-control, and the way the Greek word described it was in strength. When you're able to choose your response consciously, does that feel like you are in strength? That is the essence of self-control. Gentleness. We've all experienced gentleness at some point in our lives, usually, initially, and hopefully from our parents. Gentleness, like several of the fruits, is discounted in society. That's that same kind of idea where if you go around practicing gentleness, sometimes people like it, but they're like, they don't, it's not as respected as far as an action of power, but it carries great power. It's not celebrated because aggression and win at all costs is celebrated, but there is so much more power in gentleness. Gentleness is courage without violence, strength without harshness, and love without anger. It is showing care and respect for others in the way that you act and speak. Faithfulness. We sense intuitively what faithfulness is, but it can be hard to put into words. So, for example, faithfulness is the mother who gets up every night with her child, the parent who goes to work each day to provide for their family, the teacher who consistently stays after to help a student in need. A definition I found that faithfulness means that I appreciated online is you are steadfast in affection or allegiance, right? Next one's goodness. I found this one the most difficult to bring some definition to because the word good is so over-applied in our culture, misunderstood, and often ambivalent in its meaning. But goodness, the state or quality of being good. Kids would hear that definition and likely roll their eyes, understandably, which we all have. You be good. What does that mean? The idea of being good so often really means behave in a way that I like or believe you should, which is not the type of good we are talking about here. The best way to describe this through the lens of a fruit of the Spirit is goodness begins in knowing God. Your eternal aspect, and to the extent you can access your true nature, your God nature, is the extent you will exhibit the fruit of goodness. Next one is kindness. The Greek word for kindness is Christos, which I can pronounce, I think, which means useful. And again, I really like that definition. I think that is a really cool definition and maybe a little counterintuitive, but makes wonderful sense if you think about it. All right? Kindness in the Greek definition is useful. I wrote a message entitled The Force of Kindness several years ago. So just follow me here. Think for a moment of when you've experienced kindness, small or big acts, okay? It can be anything. Someone holding a door or doing something unexpected just because they cared about you. And so just for a moment, take a breath and feel how that felt when that happened, whatever it was. It still makes you feel good to think about it, doesn't it? Because it's still there. You can still access it. Because acts of kindness are expressions of love, and you sense that when it's happening. That's why they stay with you. You cannot be truly kind unless your heart is open to the other. And people always sense this. We become increasingly kind as we remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And we heard that in Unity's teachings too. That's interspersed through many of Unity's tenets. Next one's forbearance. Sounds like an intimidating word. Out of all the difficult takes on this fruit I came across, all the different takes. So again, I would look online and look some in other texts. The one that felt the most accurate and simple was from the Greek word hypomeno, which I think I can pronounce, meaning to patiently endure. To me, this links directly to the fruit of self-control. The important piece being that you are able to consciously choose how you respond and not feel compelled to react. When you just react, it is usually to defend yourself. And don't feel bad about that. It just is. That's how we are programmed as you grew up to do. You just, if you're not conscious, you react to defend yourself. Next one is peace. Peace is a fruit of the Spirit. This one is kind of self-explanatory, right? We spend a lot of time here talking about peace from the platform, which is a beautiful thing. That you experience peace. Peace as you exist in this world. God, your eternal aspect, is a source of peace. As a fruit of the Spirit, peace is not just when everything is going right, but all the time. You always have access to peace. Sometimes we forget, but we always have access to peace. Next one is joy. True joy only comes from doing God's will. Okay, maybe some eye rolls here again from those of you in church when you were kids, but that's the truth. True joy only comes from doing God's will. And that sounds super churchy, right? Not the church's idea of what God's will is for you. That's an important differentiator. Not the church's idea of what God's will is for you. Every major religion I'm aware of refers to this world as a classroom. Part of the lesson we are learning here is that we are eternal beings having a human experience, which Kim referenced earlier, right? That really is who we are here. Easy to forget because there's so many things bombarding our senses. But we are eternal beings having a human experience, not vice versa. Part of the lesson we are learning is what we realize at the end of this path is that our will and God's will really are the same. Scary concept, right? Especially sometimes, again, depending on your religious background, there's some scary stuff tossed at you in the name of God's will. But what you discover is those things that are tossed at you from places of control and to scare you straight or scare you into certain behavior, those are never from God. Those are never from the eternal, never from your eternal aspect, right? God does not, cannot, and would not operate out of a place of fear to get you to do anything. It's just the opposite. And as we go down our spiritual path, whatever path we choose, whatever path we're on, any true spiritual path leads you more and more to realization that you and God are one, And the more you go down that path, the more you realize that your will and God's will are one. It takes we work on that path our whole lives. But that's why joy, true joy, only comes from doing God's will, because you discover it's your will, right? The more we are aligned with the eternal aspect of who we are, the more joy we will experience. And last, but certainly not least, is love. The most important and core fruit of the Spirit, the fruit all the others come together to support and strengthen. What we are learning ultimately in this earthly classroom is to overcome our fear of the love of God, which is ultimately what we're really afraid of. And the overcoming of that fear, being able to show and teach that love to others. Historically, we have been taught that these gifts are to be striven for, to hold ourselves accountable in the behavior too, and that we have to work to develop them, to add them to ourselves. That's kind of the way, at least for me, I should be using I statement. That's the message that I sort of had over different years in the church. On August 24th, 1919, Charles Fillmore, one of the founders of Unity, gave a talk entitled Social Responsibility. He ended that talk with the following: I do not care what it is, but you must practice these principles, the fruits. Not that you practice to develop, but simply to let that which is, that which belongs to you, that which exists in you, express itself. And that is exactly right and beautifully said. So now the pivot and discussion from a slightly different perspective, which is the idea of using these fruits to heal ourselves. We often think and are taught that the fruit of the Spirit is something you develop for others. Many sort of good-hearted presentations in the church kind of teach that. The idea that you develop the fruit for yourself to heal yourself is not a common concept. So what does that look like? Every day we experience the sum of our life patterns and choices manifesting themselves again. Those patterns and responses will keep being the same unless we begin to consciously undo them. This is where the fruits come in as a tool for you to help heal yourself. So for example, when your self-talk, which we all have, accuses you of making a mistake or missing something or not being enough of something, you apply these fruits of the Spirit, which already exist inside of you, to yourself. Some examples of how that might look as you apply them to yourself: gentleness. You are gentle with yourself. Oh, that's just a mistake. That's not who I am. You are kind to yourself. See, part of the thing with the fruits of the Spirit is how we're taught to apply them externally, right? And we forget that the most important place to apply them is internally to ourselves. So kindness. You are kind to yourself. For example, it's okay. It was an easy mistake to make. It has nothing to do with the truth of who you are. Let's go pick up Mitten, your cat, and hold him for a while. Being kind to yourself. Or forbearance. I know I feel that I want to punish myself and feel guilty, which we all do. But I know that never results in anything positive or helpful, and I'll not allow myself to do that. And the last example I use is peace. Recognize that no external event can take away our natural state of peace unless we allow it. No matter how much it demands, we do just that. Peace is always available to us. Sometimes it takes some work to get there, but it is your right, our right, to experience peace. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves. Now, this is not natural to most of us, and will not feel natural if you're just beginning this process, and that's okay. It's counterintuitive on several levels of how we've been presented, but also not just the fruits of the Spirit, but how we've been taught to live our lives in this society. The voice in your head is going to say something along the lines of how silly that is. To note that you do not have time for this, you just need to deal with what it is and accept it. Those voices that we have taught ourselves are well worn, like an old record. It will initially take regular, ongoing decisions in the face of those seemingly strong old patterns to apply the fruits of the Spirit to your own process, which we just talked about. But as you do over time, a new record will begin to emerge. If you're ever in doubt of how to respond to yourself, think of how you would respond to a young child who's made a mistake. Right? We've heard this example before in different teachings, but this is very applicable here. You would respond lovingly, reassuringly, expressing the fruits of the Spirit naturally, because you recognize they just did not know better, or if they did, they are still in the process of learning. Learning how to choose. And isn't that all of us? That's all of us every day and will be to the last day we're here on this earth. We're always choosing. And we apply a false narrative, a false idea of what we should be, like we're 70. I should know better. I should look like this. And really, we need to be honest with ourselves. And if we need to apply that same lesson we do to a child, we need to apply that to us. Because it's real and honest, and we never stop being children internally. We never stop being young. We're always all ages of who we have been. We're an eternal being. This is a vessel. This is not the truth of who we are. This is something that we get to operate through in this classroom, but it's not the truth, the core of who we are. The Bible uses fruit as an analogy here because fruit must be cultivated. Unlike gifts, fruit needs ongoing labor. Remember our discussion right in the beginning? A gift reflects the giver. Fruits need us to choose them and cultivate them. So what does that look like? If you are here today, either in person or listening online, you're working at weeding your garden. When you meditate, you're weeding your garden. When you listen during the week to a favorite spiritual teacher, you're weeding. When you take the time to read from a sacred text, you're weeding. And of course, when you pray, you're weeding. Those are all the tools and many other ones that you can use to cultivate that garden, to help heal yourself. As you weed your own garden actively, consciously learn to apply the fruits of the Spirit, which already lie within you, to yourself. When you want to be hard on yourself, being gentle. When you want to be unkind to yourself, be kind. When you do not think you deserve to be loved, be loving. As you learn to establish this garden in yourself, you will be able, in truth, to extend these fruits to others. Love is a manifestation of your willingness to do the work of keeping a spiritual garden, and you are worth it. I'd like to close with a poem from Lynn Parker. Take the time to pray. It is a sweet oil that eases the hinge into the garden, so that the doorway can swing open easily. You can always go there. Consider yourself blessed. These stones that break your bones will build the altar of your love. Your home is the garden. Carry its odor hidden in you into the city. Suddenly, your enemies will buy seed packets and fall to their knees to plant flowers in the dirt by the road. They'll call you friend and honor your passing among them. When asked, "Who is that?" they will say, "Oh, that one has been beloved by us since before time began." This from people who would have trampled over you to maintain your advantage. Give everything away except your garden. And that is what we have for today. Thank you. So, meditation, okay.
When I'm quiet in prayer, I open my heart. I open my heart. When I'm quiet in prayer, I open my heart. Hallelujah. When I'm quiet in prayer, I see only love, see only love. When I'm quiet in prayer, I see only love. Hallelujah.
So, as we enter into meditation, let's apply what we just heard. As you breathe, take nice, easy, deep breaths. And I'm going to ask you to consciously apply the fruits of the Spirit to yourself. And if a thought comes up, a contrary thought, a thought trying to pull you away from the beautiful truth of who you are, apply the fruits to that thought. Apply gentleness to yourself. Let you know, talk to yourself about the love for you and through you and in you. Apply kindness to yourself. So as you breathe, just consciously pull your mind back to kindness, gentleness, peace, love. And as you do this work, not just today, but in your life moving forward, and you run into something that would be stubborn about letting go, be difficult to apply these to, you practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is a tool you combine with the fruits to help that garden, your garden, be the beautiful place of love for you and those of you around you that it is meant to be. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. And thank you, Matt. That was excellent. Matt left his notes up here. And I'm so curious about the unpronounceable Greek words. I'm going to have to ask you later. I'm spying down. Do I see them? I really want to hear them. I'm going to do announcements. There's a lot going on in our community. So for today, the Justice and Equality Vigil is happening at 11:30 at the Rotary at the intersection, or the Rotary that goes around where 302 and 202 come together here in Wyndham. All are welcome. Spiritual Exploration, Privilege, Racism, and Allyship will meet this Thursday, 6:30 to 8 on Zoom. There is a link in the weekly Heart Thoughts that comes to you in your email. So that's this 30, Spiritual Exploration. We have a Silent Saturday coming up here in the building here at Unity on September 18th. It will run from 9:30 to 3 o'clock. Bring your own lunch. If you are staying for the whole day, I believe some people pop in just for maybe an hour or two in the morning. So it's a open Silent Saturday here in the building, or to walk around the beautiful grounds, Saturday the 18th. We have a cancellation, actually. Patricia Ellen, Creating Rituals for All of Life. That needs to be postponed till later, so that will not meet on Tuesday, September 21st. And I believe we have some more information coming, but just know that that will not be meeting the Creating Rituals for Life. We do have a new workshop, however, and that is The Gift of Grief. Todd Glacy is going to be doing that workshop, and it's going to take place over 2 evenings. That's going to be Sunday, October 3rd and October 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. And there's a note here that their registration will be coming on email through Heart Thoughts. So again, that's The Gift of Grief. And then a larger silent retreat, and I believe this is at Marie Joseph Center in Biddeford, and that will be October 24th through the 26th or 27th if you're staying a little longer. And that's coming up end of October. And Jack Siri, are you the contact person on that? There's Jack. If you would like to go, if you've never been to Marie Joseph Spiritual Center, it truly is a gorgeous, beautiful place that for me has brought very personal inner peace. So I highly recommend it. We have 3 regular opportunities to meditate online with people from our community. We have a morning meditation with Reverend Elizabeth Peterson. She is there right on the dot at 6:30 in the morning. So even if you're just waking your eyes, opening your eyes as you're waking up in the morning and you click your phone or your laptop on, she is there. I run it as I'm driving to work through my sound system in my car, which I've learned to be safe with. But she's just a wonderful way of starting your day. We have a midday faith lift with Reverend Barbara, who's in the back here, and she does it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It says Monday, Wednesday, fat, but I know it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12:10. A little typo here. I think it must be at. Or I don't have my glasses on, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12:10. She does a beautiful job with that to just take peace in the middle of our day. So thank you for doing that. And this is fairly new, but Thursday evenings, Leah Rush does a heart-centered meditation, and I've yet to tune in, but that is at 7:30 every Thursday evening. And I think I've seen that running on Facebook where you can go back and kind of look for it. I've got to find that. So 3 opportunities every morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, midday, and Thursday evening. So many ways of tapping into your soul with meditation. It is now time for our offering statement. And I believe it comes up on the screen for people at home, and it will come here. Here it is. So if you'd like to say this with me as you think of your own personal abundance. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, for the joy of giving.
While the offering's being taken, please feel free to join us in singing the goodness of God.
I come this way. That's right. Excuse me. I forgot to lead you all. So if you have an offering, you can come right up the center and leave it in the basket. Please take an affirmation in the bowl here. If you just want to come up and do a blessing and take an affirmation, that's fine too. If you are an online giver, drop a little online card in just as for me, it's just a practice. So feel free to come right up. There, now we go.
The earth is full of the goodness of God. The earth is full of the goodness of God. The goodness of God. Love shines. Love shines, love shines in our hearts, in our hearts. The earth is full of the goodness of God. The earth is full of the goodness of God. The goodness of God. Joy flows, joy flows, joy flows through our lives, through our lives. The earth is full of the goodness of God. The earth is full of the goodness of God. The goodness of God. The goodness of God.
Thank you, everybody, for participating in this. And would you please join me in blessing these tithes and offering, and know that we are sending them out into the world to bring love and peace and align with all of the spiritual values that we have here at Unity, that aligns with the universal power, with God, to do good in the world. And so it is. And if you join me now in standing and singing the peace song as we end our Sunday celebration.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as the one source, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Our prayer partners today are Jack and Barbara, Reverend Barbara. They will be here to pray with you. If you've never sat with a prayer partner, I highly recommend it. It's just a beautiful way to center yourself and get some clarity. And thank you, prayer partners. They'll be here and here in our sanctuary behind the screens. So let us say our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. We are the power. Presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you.